A senseless tragedy in Wisconsin, and the man allegedly behind it was in jail just a week before.
The person who is a risk to our community should never be released.
New at 9, experts weigh in on how his bail was so low and if that may have affected the outcome.
Changes are coming. Right now, I'm tracking a cold front that arrives in Utah tomorrow. If it'll impact your Thanksgiving travel, coming up.
It's official. A new mayor will soon occupy this office here in Sandy. I'm John Franke. I'll explain why it took a few extra days to get to this point.
A double murder for the devil.
This is an actual conversation I have with Satan.
Tonight, Fox 13 News investigates the unsettling connection to a Utah man and his beliefs in the occult. And what, if anything, is being done about it?
Experts are anticipating a travel surge surrounding the Thanksgiving holiday. We'll share which days are expected to be busiest, both on the road and here at the airport.
Live from Utah's news leader, Fox 13 News at 9 starts right now.
Tonight, we're learning more about the Wisconsin man accused of driving into a Waukesha Christmas parade last night, killing 5 and injuring dozens of others.
Fox 13's Emily Tenser explains his connection to Salt Lake City, also his criminal history, and why local attorneys say this may have been preventable.
As the nation processes the tragic loss of 5 lives and dozens of others injured, people are now asking, could this have been prevented?
It's pretty clear from some of the reports and some of the information that I looked at that he certainly had been engaged in violent behavior, and even the district attorney is re-examining how that person got released, because under his assessment, this person should not have been released.
Fox 13's investigative team discovered the suspect, Darrell Brooks Jr., has ties to Salt Lake. Public records show Brooks was living here at these Midvale apartments back in 2012. Around that same time, his wife filed for divorce in a Utah court. Brooks pops up again in Utah courts in 2017 when he was charged with 2 misdemeanor drug counts. Documents show that this time he listed his address in Milwaukee. 3 years later, prosecutors dismissed the charges due to witness issues. Those counts are just a glimpse of Brooks' lengthy criminal history. Local Utah defense attorney Greg Skordas says in this case, he would have expected him to be held on higher bail.
You might have expected that a person with his criminal history, especially facing, at the time, probably an aggravated assault charge, would have been held on bail greater than what he was able to be released on.
Some on social media claim bail reform is to blame, but Salt Lake County District Attorney Sim Gill says lowering bail isn't what reform is about.
It's not about just simply saying letting people out. It's about making sure that we assess the risk when it's done right, that the person who is a risk to our community should never be released, but at the same time, we should not be holding people who are nonviolent.
He says if there's any sort of risk, people should be held without bail.
So if we cannot make the argument why this person's a risk, then we shouldn't be holding them. But if we do make the argument and this person is a risk, then there shouldn't be enough money in the world to release that person.
In Salt Lake City, Emily Tenser, Fox 13 News, Utah.
In the wake of young Izzy Tishner's tragic suicide, the Davis School District has hired the first black assistant superintendent in the district's history. Dr. Jacqueline Thompson will work on diversity and equity issues. She retired from the Davis District in 2018 after serving as Director of Educational Equity. During her career, Dr. Thompson has received numerous awards and national recognition, including the NAACP's Martin Luther King Jr. Award and the Drum Major Award for the Utah State Martin Luther King Jr. Human Rights Commission. She will begin her new position in early December.
The ACLU of Utah now adding its voice to those denouncing the decision by the Canyon School District to temporarily remove 9 books from library shelves. A majority of the books removed include LGBTQ content. Some Canyon's parents complained to the district, claiming the content was sexually explicit in nature. A statement from the ACLU of Utah says that officials at the district appear to have disregarded their standard process in reviewing content before taking action, and that constitutional protections cannot simply be ignored. Right now, it is up to librarians to decide which books should be in libraries. The district hopes to clarify the criteria for evaluating books being challenged. A policy committee will meet this week and potentially draft language to present to the school board.
Tonight, we're getting our first look at a man who police say attacked someone with a knife on tracks over the weekend. UTA police are searching for this man. They say he got off a southbound frontrunner train at about 5 on Saturday evening. He then stabbed another man with a large hunting knife. He is described as a Native American man wearing all black clothing with black and white shoes. He was also wearing a backpack with the letters on the arm strap. If you recognize this man or know who he is or where he is, call police.
Nearly 3 weeks now after Utah's municipal elections, a razor-thin result in Sandy has been certified.
Tonight, Fox 13's John Franke reports from Sandy, where the results of the mayoral race are now official.
In January, Monica Zoltansky will occupy this office. She won the mayor's race here by just 21 votes, but it took a few extra days to get to this point because there was some confusion about a possible recount. Well, all that confusion was put to rest tonight.
Moving to recanvass certain returns for the 2021 general election.
The Sandy City Council back in chambers Monday, 4 days after members did not certify the results of the city's mayoral election. At issue, the race between Monica Zoltansky and Jim Bennett. After 7 rounds of ranked choice voting, Zoltansky emerged the winner by just 21 votes, a margin some on the council believed deserved a recount.
After further analysis, the Lieutenant Governor, with the advice of the Attorney General's office, has concluded and advised the city that a recount is not mandatory in this 2021 Sandy municipal election.
According to the Utah State Code, in a ranked choice race with more than 10,000 votes, a mandatory recount threshold is met if the race is decided by 0.11%. Zoltansky's 21-vote margin gave her the win by 0.12%. The recount threshold would have been met if the difference was 19 votes. It was avoided by just 2 votes.
I move that the Sandy City Board of Canvassers certify the election results for the Sandy City Mayor as presented.
The City Council, serving as the city's Board of Canvassers, voted unanimously to certify the results.
It's a excitement, relief. I'm ecstatic, I'm proud, I'm humbled, I'm ready to serve.
Zoltansky said the explanation of the law from Lieutenant Governor Deidre Henderson was the direction the council needed to be convinced of the validity of the result.
Lieutenant Governor stepped in over the weekend and gave our attorneys the advice we were waiting for. So this election turned out to be beyond the recount threshold. No recount is needed.
When asked for a comment via text message, Jim Bennett replied, quote, "I don't have anything to say," end quote. Now Zoltansky, the official mayor-elect, can look ahead to being sworn in.
There's no doubt the people of Sandy need to know that they can be very confident that every vote was counted fairly.
Zoltansky will become the first female mayor of Sandy. She told me she hopes this serves as an example to little girls in this city. In Sandy, John Franke, Fox 13 News, Utah.
Well, if you're at home trying to make your travel itinerary for the Thanksgiving week, meteorologist Allison Krogan is here just in time to maybe help you out a little bit. Allison?
Yes, so here's what you need to know over the next couple of days. Overall, the majority of our driving here across Utah will be great. Now, if you are traveling further north, I would steer clear of driving late tomorrow into early Wednesday. But besides that, we're going to have some really nice temperatures for tomorrow, and then we'll have a cold front tomorrow night. So right now, our temperatures close to 25 to 35 for Ogden, Salt Lake, Provo. Dry roads this evening, dry roads tomorrow morning when you wake up, and then we have 2 systems that I'm tracking, one moving in from the southwest and one moving in from the northwest. We're going to end up with some cool temperatures tomorrow morning, mid-30s when you first wake up, but then the front arrives. I'll let you know what you can expect heading into Wednesday and Thursday and for this upcoming weekend.
These beings are becoming so much more powerful, so much more present.
A teen made a pact with the devil, killing 2 sisters. Tonight, Adam Herbetz investigates how a Utah man's influence led to the murders and why he's allowed to walk free.
Whether you're traveling by vehicle or airplane this Thanksgiving holiday, there are days expected to be much busier than others. We'll explain coming up.
Snowboarding and skiing is basically the most amount of fun you can have with your clothes on here in Utah.
And Brighton is the first ski resort in Utah to start spinning the lifts this season. We'll give you a look at opening day.
The Jazz go after their fourth win in a row tonight as they take on the Memphis Grizzlies. I'll have the highlights coming up in sports.
The pandemic impacted travel last year. So many are expecting a surge in holiday travelers this year.
It is a big week. Fox 13's Brian Schnee takes a look at some of the busiest days surrounding Thanksgiving travel and ways to avoid the holiday rush.
We want people to be prepared. We want them to understand that there will be a lot of people out on the road.
Utah Department of Transportation wants drivers to be ready for potential heavy traffic surrounding the Thanksgiving holiday.
We really expect to see traffic start ramping up probably early afternoon on Wednesday, and that's going to continue through the evening commute. So if you want to do yourself a favor, if you can avoid traveling at the times between 3 o'clock and 7 o'clock on Wednesday, leave earlier or leave later at night, that's going to save you some of the headaches of being stuck in traffic.
Travelers can expect delays on I-15 along the Wasatch Front on the day before Thanksgiving.
We're expecting 10 to 15-minute delays in Davis County, Salt Lake County, and even down to Nephi as well.
Traffic could also be a concern on Friday around shopping centers and malls, and again Sunday on I-15. AAA Travel anticipates more than 53 million people will travel surrounding the Thanksgiving holiday. That's up about 13% from 2020. While most will travel by vehicle, it's also expected that airports will see a dramatic increase with passengers from where they were this time last year.
I always arrive to the airport at least 4 hours early, so that's what I do.
Plan ahead, come early because we weren't sure with traffic, with what security would be like. There's usually crowds, so.
Kelly and Josh have their own different routines when it comes to traveling via Salt Lake City International Airport. But what they did do the same was try to beat the holiday rush by flying earlier in the week. In fact, Salt Lake City International Airport expects the heaviest travel on the Wednesday before Thanksgiving and then on the Sunday after. In 2019, they saw approximately 26,500 passengers on Wednesday, a drop-off in numbers last year with a little more than 13,000. But now the airport expects to see nearly 25,000 travelers on Wednesday alone.
I'm actually coming back Friday, so I'm also going to skip the weekend thing. I think a lot of people are going to wait till Sunday or Saturday to travel.
Erin purposely booked her trip to Detroit around the popular and busier days to travel. She hopes that others planning to travel on those hectic days keep a level head during the holidays.
Just be kind to each other, like we're all trying to get there, trying to be with family. I think if, we're all just, respectful and nice and get where we're going, especially, some of the people that are working during these holidays too. Let's try and give them a little bit of a, a little bit of a break.
In Salt Lake City, Brian Schnee, Fox 13 News, Utah.
Utah Attorney General Sean Reyes has COVID-19. The Attorney General's office confirmed it to Fox 13 News today. It says despite being fully vaccinated, Attorney General Sean Reyes was surprised to learn he tested positive for COVID last week. He had been fighting a cold and had tested negative days earlier. He is following all the necessary steps to quarantine from his family and to keep the public safe. His family has all tested negative. Reyes is currently involved in several lawsuits challenging federal COVID-19 vaccine mandates, arguing that vaccination should be a personal choice.
Utah's political leaders are urging you to give thanks and gratitude to healthcare workers still dealing with the pandemic. Lieutenant Governor Deidre Henderson today urged Utahns to thank healthcare workers. She chastised those who have been disrespectful and ignorant of the pandemic. She says COVID-19 is still going on and continues to take a toll on nurses, doctors, and other healthcare workers. Well, soon, two of Utah's most popular ski resorts will open.
That's right, but today, Brighton season pass holders got a special surprise.
Saw it on Instagram. I woke up to a text from this guy around noon.
Around noon? So you got up here real fast, huh?
Oh, I hurried real quick up here.
He woke up at noon.
Yeah,
to
the crack
text.
of noon. He was up at the crack of noon.
I'm jealous.
The resort put out a call for season pass holders to hit the slopes this morning, and snow lovers jumped at the chance. You're looking at them right there. For the start of its 85th season, Brighton opened the Majestic and Explorer lifts.
We decided this morning, just honestly after all the efforts of everybody working hard throughout the night and through the weekend, we got here and it was ahead of schedule, so why not, if we got it, use it.
COVID-19 precautions are in place, such as masks being required in all indoor spaces except when seated to eat or drink. Masks are not required outdoors. The resort opens for everyone tomorrow. Solitude is also starting their lifts tomorrow as well.
That's great. If you got it, use it, right?
That's right.
And if you have the opportunity to sleep in, sleep in.
Until noon.
That's right.
It's like they found my little brother to interview or something.
Hey, we each have that phase in life, right?
Yes.
Enjoy
it. Well, speaking of the mountains, we've got a gorgeous view right now, starting with our Deer Valley web camera. So this camera is live. It's facing west towards Jordanelle. Well, at least it's live as in the last few minutes, but beautiful. You can see some of the stars out there. Clear sky, not a whole lot of snow on that particular camera on top of Bald Mountain, but 35 degrees down here in the valley, Salt Lake City. We have light wind right now, no problems, dry roads this evening, and our temperatures today very close to average. So we made it to 49 degrees, 47 is a typical high. And this morning, if you thought it was chilly, it was 28 degrees, which is just pretty close to average, but just a few degrees below average. An average low this time of year, 31 degrees. So Salt Lake tonight, very close to average again, 33 degrees, so about 5 degrees warmer than it was this morning. Mostly clear sky. And then our top headlines for you, because I know the main question is, hey, we've got Thanksgiving travel this week. Will we see any impacts? So here's what you need to know. We do have a weak storm that's going to move through tomorrow, bring us some light snow, maybe even here along the Wasatch Front. So Tuesday afternoon, we'll start seeing some precipitation in the southern mountains. By Tuesday night, the northern mountains into Idaho. I think the majority of that storm will be staying off to our north, but the biggest impacts will be much colder temperatures heading into Wednesday and Thanksgiving on Thursday. So right now, Wasatch Front, clear sky, Cache Valley, Ogden, Salt Lake, Harriman, Lehigh, Provo, all clear sky. Clear sky into southern Utah. We've had a little bit of a breeze down towards Kanab this afternoon, but that wind has settled just a little bit, so it's not quite as bad as it was earlier today with that breeze. What it feels like right now, 23 for Provo, so it's very cool there. 35 for Salt Lake, 36 for Ogden, 27 for Logan. Vernal, 27, Price, 22 degrees. And then our temperatures in Delta right now, 26. Tomorrow morning when you wake up, mid-30s here in Salt Lake City. We're into the 40s by 10 o'clock in the morning. So if you don't like those cooler temperatures, just wait till about lunchtime. Head out for that walk. Should be a really nice afternoon. And by Tuesday, 7 o'clock in the morning, though, almost all of us here along the Wasatch Front are close to freezing. Mid-20s for the Cache Valley tomorrow morning. St. George, low 40s. Then by Tuesday, 3 p.m., we're close to 50 degrees. So we're going to have comfortable temperatures tomorrow afternoon, but you're starting to notice some greens and blues on the map. So what does that mean for precipitation? Here's a bigger picture of Futurecast because I want you guys to have a good idea of what you can expect if you are going to be flying out tomorrow. Let's take you through Futurecast into your Tuesday, 1 o'clock. A lot of clouds in the southwest. So we're going to start seeing some precipitation moving in from southern Utah and also a system dropping in from the north. That one from the north is going to bring us much colder temperatures Tuesday into Wednesday. 55 on Wednesday in St. George, close to 55 through Thanksgiving, 60s this weekend. And here along the Wasatch Front, we do have the chance for some light snow tomorrow evening, even here along the Wasatch Front. Much cooler on Wednesday. 44 for Thanksgiving. Let's go more in depth in your Super 7-day forecast coming up later in the hour.
Thanks, Allison. Still ahead, why Salt Lake City is getting a big chunk of money from the federal government and what it's going to be used for.
Plus, the number of drivers and passengers in Utah failing to buckle up has hit a 5-year high. What the Utah Highway Patrol is doing to reverse the trend. Almost $1 million in federal funding is coming to Utah. Experts are looking at ways to connect the University of Utah's Research Park campus to the emerging Innovation District in downtown Salt Lake. The TechLink Corridor study is the only project in the state to receive money from this program. Research Park Programming Director Jennifer McGrath says they're excited to see not only a more direct connection between the university and downtown, but the potential for a connection between Research Park and the future Innovation District.
These healthcare tech innovation companies, those are the kinds of employees that they're attracting, are people who care about living downtown, working in a downtown environment, and being able to live either car-free or car-light.
We need all of the above to prepare people to make the most of opportunities. So if you live in one part of town and you get a job in the other, you can get to where you need to be.
McGrath says having better public transit will attract more talent to Utah. Right now, UTA is working on a timeline for the study.
The Utah Highway Patrol is working to curb an alarming trend they're seeing on Utah's roads. They say the number of people failing to buckle up has hit a 5-year high. So today they switched gears, going from handing out citations for bad behavior to rewarding good conduct. This ticket was for a free fizz soda for responsible drivers on the West Jordan campus of the Salt Lake Community College.
They're generally pretty happy. They're really surprised. They're like, what's going on? What's going on? They're like, oh, I get a free drink. Yay.
Fear turns into happiness with that, right? Different kind of ticket. Across the state, law enforcement will be working overtime, focusing, of course, on seatbelt enforcement. Such an easy thing to do. UHP says last Thanksgiving weekend, around 2,500 people were cited or given a warning for failing to buckle up in Utah.
Coming up after the break.
A grisly double murder in a pact with the devil.
The rush that you get, specifically when you turn yourself fully over to the powers of darkness.
Coming up, how the crime has been connected back to the influence and beliefs of a Utah man and what's being done about it.
Stuck in waist-deep mud for hours.
We were fighting the current and the shallow water.
How a Utah woman found herself in serious trouble and her warning for others.
I'll tell you about Taysom Hill's unique contract extension with the Saints, plus the Utes ready to honor their seniors.
I don't care if you use these curses to kill people or to kill cancer. Like, it doesn't matter to me.
You cannot arrest him for his beliefs. Should he be held responsible? In my opinion, I would hope so.
Tonight, Fox 13 News investigates a Satanist author in southern Utah whose writings directly inspired a teenage killer thousands of miles away.
Last month, Daniel Hussein was sentenced to 35 years in prison for murdering 2 sisters in London, both total strangers.
Here's Fox 13 News investigative reporter Adam Herbetz.
June 2020, at a park in London, Biba Henry was celebrating her 46th birthday with her younger sister, Nicole Smallman. 3 days earlier, Daniel Hussein bought knives and candles at a local supermarket. According to police evidence, he was entering a demonic pact, promising to sacrifice a minimum of 6 people, only women, every 6 months. Biba and Nicole were his first victims.
Stay where you are, stay where you are, stay where you are. Hands on your head, stay where you are.
For more than a year, the public did not understand Hussein's motive until a BBC investigation revealed how the killer spent hours online on a satanic forum, describing himself as a psychic vampire who learned his first spell from this man in Utah.
The rush that you get, specifically when you turn yourself fully over to the powers of darkness.
E.A. Coetting is an author who claims to be able to harness black magic and sells books on Amazon.
You're about to learn secrets that most people will never know about godlike power.
Coetting's real name is Matthew Joseph Lawrence. He's 40 years old. In 2014, he was arrested in St. George. He pleaded guilty to possession of meth, cocaine, LSD, ecstasy, mushrooms, marijuana, and being a restricted person in possession of a firearm. Before that, he says he was raised as a member of the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints, but became more interested in demons as a teenager.
I've always had a push towards the spiritual and the supernatural. I grew up in a Mormon household. We'd read the scriptures every night, and as we'd read about these prophets and the miracles that they would perform, I always kind of wanted to look behind it and say, okay, well, how did they do that? What was their method?
Some of Coating's most expensive books promise to teach readers how to perform violent curses. Some writings openly discuss and encourage murder.
I don't care what you use it for. I don't care if you use these curses to kill people or to kill cancer. Like, it doesn't matter to me.
5,000 miles away in London, there is no evidence Hussein and Coating had ever met or spoken, but a closer look at the killer's contract shows where he got his ideas. One of Coating's books teaches people how to enter a pact with a demon named Lucifuge.
Lucifuge is the keeper of the Black Flame.
It instructs readers to sign the contract in blood, which Hussein did. But the demon's signature, quote, is visible only to you. Hussein made sure to leave a blank space for Lucifuge. Coating's writings also say you should ask for money. In exchange for his sacrifice, Hussein wanted to win the Mega Millions super jackpot. Police found he also bought lottery tickets.
I filmed all this. I've got video courses and books that I've been developing with all of this material.
When we tried to speak with Coating at his home in Apple Valley, he did not answer. Coating has also not responded to phone calls.
He's just simply trying to make a buck. And I just think he doesn't care.
Rick Allen Ross is the founder and executive director of the nonprofit Cult Education Institute. He's been researching cults for approximately 30 years, but does not believe Coating is a cult leader.
What I see is a salesman, an actor. He's costumed, he wears makeup, and he's basically trying to project an attractive, magnetic image so that he can pull people in and then make money off of them. I'll make you a god for 3 payments.
Facebook and YouTube have removed Coating from their platforms, but his material is still on Amazon. When we asked, we got a no comment from Amazon. Do you think that's acceptable?
No, I don't. They should be policing their platforms, and I hope Amazon will take action as soon as possible.
The Washington County Sheriff's Office would not say whether Coating has ever been under investigation for the content promoted in his books.
That's not something that we're able to answer at this time. We investigate crimes, and what people write, they're going to write, and if it does violate any laws, then we would investigate at that time. And that would be our only opinion on that matter.
But what can you do about someone like Coating? You cannot arrest him for his beliefs. These people are deeply disturbed, very easily influenced, and then they come into the orbit of someone like Coating, who then becomes their ignition point. Should he be held responsible? In my opinion, I would hope so.
Reporting in Apple Valley, Adam Herbetz, Fox 13 News, Utah.
If you have questions about tonight's investigation, Adam will be live on Facebook in just a few moments. He'll try to answer as many questions as possible.
And if you have a story you'd like the Fox 13 News investigative team to look into, email iteam@fox13now.com, or you can call the tip line. The number is 801-536-1314. Another U.S. Capitol insurrection suspect from Utah is close to pleading guilty. Former Salt Lake Police Detective Michael Lee Hardin appeared in a virtual hearing this morning. His attorney says he and the government are hashing out a plea deal. The judge scheduled a change of plea hearing for January 21st. Hardin is charged with 4 counts of entering a restricted building on January 6th of this year. He would be the second Utahn to plead guilty to insurrection charges. In all, 7 Utahns are charged with crimes from that day in Washington.
As soon as I stepped out of the boat, I was already sinking.
She was stuck waist deep in the mud at Utah Lake for hours. Coming up, she'll share her account of the terrifying ordeal and how she was rescued.
And coming up, dry roads here across Utah today, but how's the rest of Thanksgiving week looking? I'm tracking a cold front that arrives tomorrow. It will impact your travel coming up.
Oh boy, what a story here. A Utah County woman is recounting an intense experience when she got stuck waist deep in the mud at Utah Lake for more than 2 hours before search crews were able to rescue her.
Fox 13's Lauren Steinbrecker explains how she got stuck and shares a message for others tonight.
Yeah, this is a very popular spot here. From here, it looks like, oh yeah, it'd be easy. Just follow this out there. Well, when you get out there, the main channel is hard to know exactly where it is.
And that's the problem a father and daughter ran into Sunday evening. The Utah County Sheriff's Office says navigating their boat in deceptively shallow water. When the boat became lodged, they got it unstuck, but little did they know that wouldn't be the worst of their challenges.
We were fighting the current and the shallow waters, and I'm like, Dad, I just want to get out. As soon as I stepped out of the boat, I was already sinking, and I was able to pull my legs out to go another step, and I just went further.
19-year-old Autumn says she ended up waist deep. They called 911, and Autumn waded in the water and mud in thin leggings for more than 2 hours. Hypothermia began to set in. Search and rescue found her, then worked to unstick Autumn while staying clear of the mud themselves.
They dug around my feet, grabbed the bottom of my boot, and were able to pull it up onto a backboard. I was really scared because I didn't feel anything in my legs, that I was going to lose feet or toes, but none of that happened, and I'm so thankful for the rescue crew to be able to get me out in time.
Autumn took a short trip to the hospital where they gave her the all clear. For anyone coming out here to fish or duck hunt, it's truly no joke when the signs say boats are getting stuck, launch at your own risk. Autumn can tell you that firsthand.
Always be careful. Like, you never know if you'll get stuck or hurt or break a leg and you're out there without cell service. I was even lucky to even have cell service to call 911.
The Utah County Sheriff's Office says that in some of these areas there's only 2 to 3 inches of water, and because of the tall reeds it makes it hard to see, and that's why a lot of people will think it just looks like solid ground. At Provo Bay, Lauren Steinbrecker, Fox 13 News, Utah.
Still ahead, there's 2 ways you can get hacked when you're traveling, and they're not what you think. We'll explain what they are so you can avoid becoming a cybercrime victim.
Coming up in sports, the Utes hope to honor their seniors with a win over Colorado. We'll hear from Coach Whittingham. And the Jazz, a tough game tonight at home against the Grizzlies, and it went down to the wire. Highlights are on the way.
So glad you could join us for Fox 13 News at 9. It's a cold evening out there, to say the least.
Cold start to a big week for many of you.
Yeah, big week, that's right. But hopefully we're going to have some good weather wherever you're traveling to for the Thanksgiving holiday. Fox 13 meteorologist Allison Krogan will have your first alert forecast in just a few minutes.
Okay, well, speaking of traveling and perhaps going out of town, if you and your family do you ever take advantage of things like free Wi-Fi and USB charging stations in public buildings?
A Utah cybersecurity expert says you may want to reconsider. The devices we attach to such systems hold valuable information about us that could be vulnerable. We spoke in depth with Rod Buehler, a cybersecurity professor at Salt Lake Community College, on Fox 13 News live at noon today. He says when we travel, we're exposed to more high-tech threats to most any device.
With any device, is going to have personal information on it, where you've been, where you've traveled, maybe your boarding pass and other information about you. So all of that information is vulnerable and can be stolen when you use public Wi-Fi.
Buehler recommends avoiding public Wi-Fi and turning off your phone's Bluetooth settings when you aren't using it.
A unified firefighter is hoping for the return of his gear after it was stolen right out of his car. Barrett Lajeunesse returned from Utah, home from a Utah Utes game Saturday night, to find his car had been broken into and 2 large duffel bags full of $10,000 worth of gear was gone.
That was every piece of equipment that I had, as far as personal equipment, as far as my PPE for going to structure fires, car accidents, any other kind of incident that we go on.
Oh man, what a loss. Lajeunesse hopes the thief does have a change of heart. He says the bags can be dropped off at any fire station no questions asked.
The Department of Alcoholic Beverage Control is warning about long lines and liquor shortages. We're coming up on the busiest time of year for state-run liquor stores, and this year there are also supply chain issues with several products being rationed. Those include Hennessy, some champagnes, and Modelo Negra.
If you get to the store and you find that your product is not available, take this as an opportunity to shop local. We have a lot of local manufacturers that do manufacture products that are just as good, if not better, than our national brands.
If you can, avoid peak times by shopping in the middle of the day, right after they open, or in the early afternoon.
It is a yearly tradition, giving the governor and lieutenant governor a chance to give back to people in need. Governor Spencer Cox and Lieutenant Governor Deidre Henderson both spent today handing out meals at the rescue mission of Salt Lake City. Cox says this yearly event and other acts of kindness are what Utah is all about, especially during the holidays.
This is a time to be grateful for everything that we have, and we do that by remembering that there are people that are in need this season. So every chance you get to give back, please take it this holiday season.
Always an opportunity. This event in particular is nothing new to the governor. He's been serving meals at the mission every year since he was former Governor Gary Herbert's lieutenant governor.
Well, it was a mild start to the week today for our daytime high. Back to being chilly, though. 35 degrees here in Salt Lake City. 36 for Ogden currently, and down in Provo, currently 28 degrees. So here's what you need to know. We do have clear sky here across the region right now, but a couple of things that I'm watching. One, we've got some systems in the Pacific Northwest and also off to our southwest. So we're going to end up with some impacts depending on where you are tomorrow from each of these particular systems. So tomorrow morning, 7 o'clock, about 30 to 35 for Ogden, Salt Lake, and Provo. Mid-20s for the Cache Valley tomorrow morning. Vernal, 21 degrees. And for St. George, close to 40 degrees tomorrow morning. St. George, you're going to have some really, really cold nights this week. Your first frost. You're going to have some very chilly mornings, but pleasant afternoons. So hour by hour, 2 o'clock tomorrow, Tuesday, here's what you can expect. Quite a few clouds, especially across southeastern Utah. We're going to see the chance for some rain and snow here across the state tomorrow, depending on where you are. St. George, mid-60s, very breezy on Wednesday and about 10 degrees cooler with mid-50s. You'll keep it in the mid-50s for Thanksgiving, and then 60 to 65 Friday, Saturday, Sunday, and into early next week. Here along the Wasatch Front, here's your Super 7-day forecast. Super 7-day forecast is pretty simple. It's basically a 7-day forecast, except for we can go in depth on each day. I'll go ahead and click on tomorrow. So Tuesday, you'll start the morning off cool, mid-30s, 7 a.m., 9 a.m., and then into the 50s right after lunchtime tomorrow. A high, 54 degrees, and then a low will end up being close to about 25 to 30 degrees for Wednesday morning and Thursday morning. So Wednesday, 39 degrees for a high. We'll have partly cloudy sky the day before Thanksgiving. Your chance for precipitation is the best over the course of the next week. Tuesday night, that's the blue line that you're seeing, that is scattered precipitation, and then into Wednesday, widely scattered to isolated here across the region. So with those cold temperatures, we're going to end up with the possibility of some snow as we head into late Tuesday, early Wednesday morning. By Thursday, this is Thanksgiving, 44 degrees for a high. Sunshine, you'll have chilly football games, but dry roads here across the state and a very cold morning. Then heading into Friday morning, you'll have that 30 degrees, 50 degrees come Friday, partly cloudy sky, and your top headlines heading into the upcoming weekend. Warm towards the end of the week. Dry conditions this weekend, and then we do have some storms possible second half of next week. Saturday looks really good, 53 degrees here in Salt Lake City. We're back into ski season. Many of the resorts will be open this weekend with temperatures in the mid-20s at 8 a.m. for skiing, by 10 o'clock in the morning into the 30s. And then as we look at week 2, heading into next week, that's when we'll see a better chance for some rain showers middle to end of the following week.
The Utah Jazz went after their 4th win in a row tonight against the Memphis Grizzlies, the team they beat in the first round of the playoffs last season, 4-1. This was a great game between two teams that played well. First half, Donovan Mitchell, the Hassan Whiteside. He played well, throws it down, 12 points for Hassan. How about this move from Rudy Gobert? Spins and scores it off the glass. He had 23 points and 13 rebounds. Then it's Mitchell working hard to get his shot. He spins and hits. Mitchell had 18 points. Jazz led it by 6 at the half. Second half, Grizzlies stayed right there. John Morant, 3 is good. He led the Grizzlies with 32 points. How about Mike Conley here, working the dribble. Takes it in and gets the friendly roll. He had 19 points. Now late in the fourth, Bojan Bogdanovic hit 2 big threes in a row. He had 24 points, put the Jazz up 6. But the Grizzlies hit the big shot. Jaren Jackson Jr., 3. That put the Grizzlies up 1 with 5 seconds to play. Mitchell tried to win it for the Jazz, but shot's no good. The Grizzlies beat the Jazz 119-118. Utah football coming off a huge 38-7 win over Oregon, clinching the Pac-12 South Division title for the 16th ranked Utes, who have now won 4 games in a row. The Utes could face Oregon, Oregon State, or Washington State in the Pac-12 championship game next week, but that's not their focus.
It's all about the seniors this week, seniors and the juniors that are planning on moving on. And so we want to send those guys out the right way. It's important that we take first things first and don't get ahead of ourselves. Regardless of the circumstances of the situation, we can't sit here and worry about who we might or might not play in a couple weeks. That's not the point of emphasis and the focus. The focus is Colorado Buffaloes. They're playing good football. They beat Washington the other day, and so we've got to turn all our attention, all our focus, all our efforts to Colorado Buffs, which we will.
You can watch the Utes take on Colorado right here on Fox 13 this Friday afternoon at 2 o'clock. Well, former BYU quarterback Taysom Hill has agreed to a unique 4-year contract extension with the Saints that could be worth $40 million and $95 million, depending on how much he plays quarterback, with $22.5 million guaranteed. Taysom was scheduled to become a free agent after the season, but the Saints wanted him back, and they do get a salary cap incentive to do so. Hill lost the starting quarterback battle to Jameis Winston, and he's not overtaking current starting QB Trevor Siemian since Winston went down with a season-ending injury.
Gosh, it's so fun to watch him play.
He is going to get paid, but we all want to watch him play quarterback so he can make money, and we see more of Taysom.
Yeah, that guaranteed $22.5 million is nice. All the extras, just gravy on top.
Yeah.
Thanks, Jeff.
We'll be right back. Thanks for being part of Fox 13 News at 9.
Quick Cast is next.